Namaskar. Welcome to Prakash on Basics. I'm Prakash Zo. Every religion begins and is based on ideal concepts. They are expected to last forever. As time passes, the original meanings, the original thoughts, the original actions, rituals gradually deteriorate. Many times these are exploited for the benefit of a select few. Norms of religions are conveniently reinterpreted, suitably manipulated under the pretext of rituals, traditions, improper actions take a foothold. Also, with time, social norms and ideals change, as I mentioned last time. They are reset. The concepts of virtues, good and bad, right and wrong, undergo modifications. Different possibilities come to the forefront. So the effect on religion? The religion undergoes corrections. There is a split that happened in, let's talk at global level. Christianity underwent that sort of a change when they talked of the Greek Orthodox and the Catholics or the Protestants. So you find that happening. In case of Islam, there was obviously the Shias and the Sunnis who separated out, and there were other splits also to some extent. Uh, there is also a possibility that the philosophies might improve or change, and that's what we see happening in case of the Upanishads when they shifted from the Karma Kand, the rituals, to Jnana Kand, the knowledge-based concepts. In India, new sects known as Panth came forward, like the Ajivaks, the Shraman, and there were also some new religions like Jainism and Buddhism that came to the forefront. Some grew, some flourished, some merged, uh, some new religions that were attempted fizzled out, and some grew to a very large extent, even at an international level. The growth and dominance of Vedic religion was for a very large time span over a few centuries, no, a few thousand years. And that was pretty early. Gradually, because of this, inevitably problems started creeping in. Karmakand, that is ritualism, gained undue importance. The processes were complex, requiring meticulous precision. The rituals were not easy to follow. Naturally, the importance of the priests, the Brahmins, grew. Uh, and for the others, rituals rather than logic and understanding dominated. And you must also remember that all texts later on and initially all memorization of the rituals and others was in a language Sanskrit. Why we've discussed long back. Sanskrit was not the language of the common man. Those languages were known as Prakrit, Pali, Ardhamagadi, and so many others. So for the common man, logic of rituals was beyond the grasp. It was just a routine to be followed after the priest. The Vedas, with 15,000 plus shloks, compiled by different religious sages and rishis and philosophers, they also numbered in hundreds. And the compilation span spread over about 2-3,000 years. So some contradictory statements were bound to come, bound to get included from the beginning till the end of the Vedas. But the Vedas were supposed to be the ultimate truth. So every word in them was supposed to be perfect. This was typically referred to as Veda Pramanya. So the standard was always the Ved. Not everybody accepted this. And the non believers were known as Nastik. Please realize that Nastik does not mean an atheist. He's the one who does not accept the authority of the Vedas. The yajnas too resulted in quite a few problems. They had other rituals uh, along with them. And all that was a big strain on the resources and the funds, the manpower and time. They required specialized, skilled priests, Brahmins. These were for preparation, smooth conduct, and the culmination of every possible yajna. How this was effective, I have already discussed long back with you. The gain from the yajnas was often punya, religious merit, blessings, or some sort of a penance, or a path to heaven. None of this can be actually measured or is detectable. And the benefit of the yajna too was subjective in most cases. A person was expected to perform so many of them, some mandatory, some personal, some for personal gains, some for social gains, etc. To get an idea of just how many and what types, I'll mention a few of these. Shrauta yajnas were the ones mentioned in the Shrutis, that is the Vedas. The Gruhya yajnas were for the householders, which he had to perform mandatorily practically every day. Ishti were those where they were for some sort of a benefit or well-being. Kamya were with specific goals in mind. The Agnihotra was the fire worship. The Darshapurna Mas was a yajna to be performed at every full moon, Purnima as it is known. And the Chaturmasya is to be performed every 4 months. And then there was the ones related to arrival of fresh grain, fresh harvest. And these were known as the Agraneshti type of yajnas. There was Somayag that lasted from 2 to 12 days. And then there were Satra, which lasted more than 12 days. And then there were specialized ones for the kings, the Rajasuya Yajna, the Ashwamedh Yajna, etc., where the kings had to go for conquests and till they returned, the processes continued. There were the Gavamaya Yajna, which lasted for nearly a year. There were some yajnas also for social benefits, well-being of people. They were typically Vishnu Yag, the Ganesh Yag, the Chandi Yag, the Datta Yag. These are the four major ones. Some of them are performed even today uh, at a variety of places. Plus, there were daily rituals, too much of commitment. And with oblations and sacrifices, all that was Agneya Swaha to be consumed by the fire god in the yajna. Manpower, resources, preparation, execution, culmination, funds, time, expenses, all that for something that was not verifiable. There were losses too. The Somavalli, the Soma plant, was always made as an offering, and the plant now is practically extinct, unknown to most of us. And the performing priests grew in stature, gained financially. So they concentrated on the yajnas more than the teaching, which was supposed to be their prime objective in life. As in all religions, the priests were with the highest social standing because of this. Animal sacrifice was another major issue. It was believed that all of them had life, they had a soul, it was vital, and so this was treated as a precious loss. There were attempts to make an improvement in this also, as we will discuss in some of the modified versions of things when we come to them later on. Ahimsa, no killing, was taking a firm hold on the Indian mindset. Other than the main immediate food requirement, it seemed to be a senseless process of killing of animals. There was another issue. The social structure was based on the Varna system. Originally, it was profession based. It gradually changed into the caste system, decided on the basis of birth. It was something which you had no possibility of changing because you couldn't change your own birth. You couldn't change your caste for the better. Actually, the original logic of why this came in was quite sound. In any profession, maximum knowledge transfer takes place from a person to his sons, to his next generation. And they always constantly observe the father working or the uncle working throughout their lives along the same track that they are supposed to follow later on. So naturally, they have a head start, a first hand information of every possible loophole in the businesses. The do's and don'ts from an experienced parent are best passed on to the son. Trade secrets and links get passed on and transferred perfectly to the next generation. It is still very common in India even today. But a caste system became very rigid. Change of caste was impossible. Even today, uh, with so many converted Christians and Muslims, or the now Buddhas, who follow a different pattern of religion, their pre conversion castes are known to them. Probably they are from ages ago. And they do matter during marriage processes, even then, and now, even among the converted. All this finally grew to a stage of untouchability and social isolations. Initially started as a precaution of cleanliness and later a part of habit. Rather than knowledge and ability, birth decided a person's authority. Rising up a caste ladder was impossible then, it's not possible even now. Thus, with time, social status became caste dependent and caste became birth dependent. So, even right to knowledge became birth dependent. There, of course, were exceptions. Uh, some were cases like Karna, who suffered because of being placed at the wrong place in spite of being from a high caste. And Vidur could gain a little bit of information and knowledge and rise to a very high level because his father was a king. So things were different even then, but these were all exceptions. Yajnas, rituals, caste systems, sacrifices, importance of Sanskrit. These are all cited as causes of starting new religions in India. I wouldn't really fully agree with this. They were really some of the problems that were there in the Vedic religion because none of these are a part of either the Jain Panchabahavratas or the Buddha's four Arya Satyas or a part of his Ashtanga Marg. Neither are they used extensively by the Ajivaks and Shramans in their own tenets. Ahimsa is the main issue. Others are implied in terms of norms of good behavior, what is typically referred to as the Samyak Achar. They're also referred to in the Pancha Mahavratas of the Jains, as I just mentioned. So, are these reasons mentioned to look down on the problems in Hinduism that were existing that time by the thinkers of today? I don't know. I leave that question open because there wasn't really a very rigid rule about people having difference of opinion in India. Their philosophers were called um, Mata. Their philosophies were called Mata. The Jain Mat, the Bauddha Mat. Mat means an opinion. So these are more probably a variety of related concepts that were put forward in a different manner initially, which evolved to some extent into new religions with time. Neither Siddhartha, not only Siddhartha, but even Vardhaman, they never left their homes for any of the reasons that I listed long back. They were all for different reasons. These reasons that we have listed out can be considered to be contributors to the growth of Jainism and Buddhism in India. The Upanishads had already started expressing their opinions about opposition to ritualism, to yajnas in various forms. These improved to a better form in things like Panchamahayajna and so forth. I'll come to that, but we need more than a day for that sometime. The Ajivaks, the Shramans, the Jains, the Buddhists opposed the concept of Vedas because they did not believe that that was the ultimate knowledge. And so for them, Ved were not the Pramana or the standards. Many a times the word used describing all these categories is heterodox. But the Sanskrit word Nastik is a more appropriate one because it only sticks to the concept that was really there in India, which is not believing the Vedas. It's not really atheism, as sometimes it is misinterpreted. So, with the Vedas and their gradual improvement, and with the development of these new religions that I have just mentioned, a shift from me to us in behavior and ideals started taking place. From individual to personal to collective to social thinking. All these changes were for the betterment of the society for each of these religions. So the Vedic religion that we talk of had all the problems that I mentioned and they had to be improved on. And there were a lot of attempts towards this improvement. Next time, we'll look into the lesser known sects that could not possibly grow into religions but made some attempt to break away from the Vedic concepts. If you've liked whatever I have said, please pass on this information to your friends, like and subscribe to this channel. Till we meet again next time, Namaskar.